So for this week's module, we'll be focusing on short-term and long-term goals. And with that, we'll go into a little detail about exactly what short-term and long-term goals are, what are some examples of these, and then also towards the end, we'll talk about how these goals of short-term and long-term goals relate to your final project. So let's start off by talking about short-term goals. So short-term goals are going to be goals that can be reached within a year's time. So, whether it takes you a week, whether it takes you a couple of months, whether it takes you the full year, a short-term goal has to be reached within that time frame. Long-term goals are going to be anything they can reach within 5 years. So just like with short-term goals, it can be shorter, it can be a year, it can be a couple of years, it can be 5 years, but it has to be reached within 5 years' time. Now, if we're looking at an example of a short-term goal can be, for example, a student wants to have a 3.5 GPA at the end of this semester. That's a short-term goal. It's reached within a year's time, and they know exactly what they want to accomplish. Another goal can be, let's say a person wants to lose 5 pounds within the next 3 months. That could be another short-term goal. Now, with a long-term goal, I think an important thing to remember is that you want your short-term goals to build towards long-term goals. So, for example, let's say the first example that I use, a student wants to get a 3.5 GPA by the end of the semester. That can be building towards a long-term goal of the student wants to have at least a 3.4 GPA by the time they graduate so they can be eligible to get into graduate school. So by maintaining a 3.5 GPA semester by semester, that could put them in a position to reach their long-term goal of having at least a 3.4 GPA so that they can be eligible to get into graduate school. The second example that I use of the person who wants to lose 5 pounds within the next 3 months, their ultimate goal or long-term goal can be that by the end of the year, they want to lose 20 pounds, or within a year's time, they want to lose 20 pounds. So they're taking it step by step, and at the end of 3 months, they want to lose 5 pounds. By the end of a year's time, they want to have lost 20 pounds. So their short-term goals are building towards long-term goals, and that's how the two relate. Now, also with setting goals, you want to make sure the goals are SMART. And SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So anytime you're making a goal, you want to make sure that these 5 elements are built into the goal. So with saying specific, you want to make sure that you know exactly what you want to accomplish. You're not confused or wavering at all. You have a goal, you know what you want to do, and you're working towards it. Measurable, you want to make sure that you can kind of give yourself check-ins, whether it's every week, whether it's every month. You want to make sure that you can measure and show yourself, and also maybe even your group, that you are achieving what you want to achieve. So you're achieving your short-term goals to lead towards your long-term goals, to make sure that's actually happening. Achievable, you want to make sure this is actually able to be done. You want to make sure that you are setting goals that can actually be achieved. So let's say a student is a brand new freshman, and they're saying that in 2 years they want to have their bachelor's and master's degree. That's not really achievable. So you want to set goals to make sure they're achievable as well. Relevant, you want to make sure there's a reason why you're doing this. Make sure that you are doing the things that you're doing this goal for a reason, and make sure there's a kind of a story or a motivation behind the goal that you're trying to accomplish. And lastly, time bound, you want to make sure you're putting that time around it. So make sure you're in that within 5 years range for long-term goals, or years range for short-term goals. and making sure that you're working towards that time that you set for yourself. So, if you look at your final project, what I want you to focus on is you have a long-term goal, and that is to complete this final project. So I want you to set, as a group, short-term goals that are going to lead you towards your long-term goal of finishing this project. So are there any questions or any confusion about this topic or about the final project and how you can make these short-term goals? Feel free to let me know after class or in class or through email or make an appointment with me. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Thanks.